Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Empowering You with RFEA, the Forces Employment Charity. This morning, we're going to talk about a spotlight on equality, diversity and inclusion. We understand this is an important topic, but it's something that we can help within our programmes for you to work towards any sort of barriers that you may feel and you come across. I think it's just really important that I talk a little bit about the RFEA, what we do and what the purpose of the session is, and you'll be able to see from my slide there that that's the rundown of the itinerary for today. So just a little bit of background about RFEA, the Forces Employment Charity, because I love to talk about this charity because we do some fantastic work. We support service leavers, veterans and their families on their employment journey. And we have been doing for a very long time, roughly about 136 years. I'm obviously not that old. But yeah, we have been doing it for a very, very long time. And we make we do some fantastic work within all the programmes that we have within RFEA. Just to name a few, Ex-Forces programme, we have the Families programme, we have the Military Women's programme, and other fantastic programmes within RFEA. I wanted to just set the purpose of the session and why we're doing this today, because we feel that it is a topic that majority do maybe face within their employment journey. And we want to highlight the great work and organisations that are really striving to make differences within their organisation. And I think this is just to raise the awareness of the great work that are being done by outside organisations and how we as advisors and within our programmes can support that. We have some real good positive experiences from previous individuals who have had support through RFEA coming up later, which is great, and it will be fantastic just to hear their story. And again, just a point of RFEA are really committed to the principle of equality, of opportunity in the service that we deliver and in our employment support. So we don't solutionize, we're not the experts, but what we want to do is we want to just, show that spotlight that we can help support you and also maybe, signpost you to organisations that can help. And we can certainly help you with the employability part as well. So I think I've talked enough. I think we've got some fantastic organisations and individuals who are ready to speak. So what I'll do is I'll pass over to the lovely ladies from Willis Towers Watson, who have a fantastic policy. And we have got Rebecca and Amelia. I think they've just popped up. Hi, guys.
Morning. Hi.
Morning. I'm not going to steal your thunder. I'm going to let you guys talk about this because I know you've got some fantastic networks. So I will pass over to you guys and thank you again for joining us.
No, thank you very much for having us today. Both Rebecca and I are really excited to be able to share what our firm's doing and more specifically what we're both trying to do. I think it would probably be helpful to give a little bit of an overview of Willis Towers Watson. So we are a global advisory insurance broking and solutions company. We have over 45,000 colleagues and we operate in over 140 countries. So, we're a big firm. And inclusion and diversity really is at the core of our firm's culture and it's of the utmost importance. And part of the way that this is shown is via our five global I&D networks that we have. And they all have different focus areas and the role is really to advance these priorities. As you can see, we have the Gender Equity Network, the Multicultural Inclusion Network, the Workability Inclusion Network, the LGBT Plus and Allies Network, and then the Young Professionals Network. And the way in which these are run is they typically have a global sponsor or someone very senior at a country level who advocates, for that network at the top level of the organization. And then they are actually run regionally, so on a country level. And the reason for that is obviously with 45,000 colleagues in lots of different countries, priorities may be different in different regions. And by having people really driving those, that's where we can make change. And whilst these are our kind of 5 key networks, Rebecca and I really can't sit here and do justice today just to the amount that goes on at the firm. There's going to be things that we aren't aware of that are run at a country level. We have other things like mental health first aiders, corporate social responsibility groups, lots of initiatives around hiring and focusing on underrepresented talent. Really, the list honestly goes on. So there's stacks of things that we're trying to do here. And the networks are voluntary, so colleagues sign up to them if they'd like to be involved. The majority of colleagues do this, but there's no pressure for people to get involved if they would rather not. So we'll just quickly do a little brief summary of each network and then really be focusing on what we're trying to do within our division. But firstly, the Gender Equity Network, kind of what it says on the tin really, and that supports the specific needs of our female talent, including an emphasis on developing, female leaders, mentoring, coaching, and actually connecting with clients as well as something that's really important to us. And whilst there's a focus on promoting and supporting our female talent, it's also, of course, really important we focus on our male colleagues and how we can support them in their journey, and also how they can be an ally to female colleagues, as there is a gender gap in our industry that we're working really, really hard to change. There's so much that goes into this network, but just a flavour of the kind of things that they do. There's education and training for all genders on items like financial futures, so pension planning, investing, how to get a mortgage. There's a big piece around work-life balance, particularly with parenthood in the workplace and how we can better support colleagues who are parents and their personal development while juggling, childcare and trying to have a career. And the network also advocates with our senior leaders, our HR function, making sure that gender equity is always on the agenda and it's integral to the firm's strategy in all of our practices. Then next up, we have the Multicultural Inclusion Network, and that focuses on the particular needs of colleagues from a range of backgrounds and encourages acceptance through learning about and celebrating diversity of race, ethnicity, religion, language, culture, everything wonderful that makes up our organisation. And of course, this subject is always really important, but particularly over the last 18 months, when there's obviously been a variety of events that have gone on in the world that have triggered a lot of conversation. This network has put on some really amazing events, 2 that have particularly stand out for me. One was Let's Talk About Race, and this was a series of discussions following the killing of George Floyd, where colleagues very openly spoke about some very difficult conversations, being in situations where you don't know what the right thing is to say, how you broach certain topics. The page on our intranet alone had over 15,000 views, and I think over 10,500 colleagues actually participated in those town hall discussions. They really were amazing. And the other one was an event on World Culture Day, where in the UK a virtual talent show was put on, and some colleagues did amazing performances, dances, there was some cooking. I think there was actually some cocktail making as well, and people could join in at home, which was really great and a wonderful way to celebrate different cultures. Next up is our Workability Inclusion Network we have, which is really committed to challenging attitudes and increasing understanding relating to disability. So removing employment barriers for disabled people and those with long-term health conditions, and making sure that those that do have those situations are provided with the opportunities to fulfill their maximum potential. So we have a focus on disability, as I said, on well-being and other health-related matters like neurodiversity. Again, this network has a load of amazing initiatives, our mental health first aid champions being one, of which I am myself, and we've been trained to support those who are struggling with their well-being or mental health, and how we can better direct them to some more long-term resources and solutions to help them. There's initiatives looking at our job descriptions and hiring strategies, how we make these more inclusive and make sure that we have the most diverse talent pool possible, because ultimately that's where we're going to succeed. And another thing that they've done recently is looking at manager training to make sure that managers are best trained to be able to support their colleagues in any needs that they may have. And Rebecca now is going to briefly talk about our final 2 global networks.
Thanks, Amelia. So then fourth on the list, we have the LGBT Plus and Allies Network. So this aims to create a more inclusive and supportive work environment where colleagues feel that it can bring their whole selves to work. Obviously, this network specifically focuses on the diverse spectrum of sexual orientation and gender identity. So all of our networks have events throughout the year, but for this network, obviously Pride is a specifically important topic. So throughout June, there is a month's long events. So these are social events to bring people together, educational events to teach us how we can be better allies. And there's also workshops looking at ways how we can all be more respectful and improve our writing style so we can be more gender neutral. And then finally, we have our Young Professionals Network. So this aims to create a network of educated, well-informed young professionals. And we do often have the question is, what age can you be in the Young Professionals Network? And we don't have an age limit. It is just kind of targeted at those in the earlier stages of their career. And this network aims to provide internal and external networking opportunities. We think it's really important to network with those outside of the insurance industries, just to get a more diverse opinions within the discussions. We also host panel discussions with our senior leaders, encouraging young professionals to speak up and share ideas and their concerns. And the Young Professionals Network is also host quite a lot of what we call lunch and learn sessions. So these are 1 hour topics, which just give an 1 hour session, which just give an overview of particular topics to educate young professionals on what's happening within Willis Towers Watson, but also topics such as climate change has been quite an important one recently. Amelia, do you want to take us on to the next slide?
Sure. So Rebecca and I really are here today to talk to you about what we're trying to do within our division and to provide a bit more colour as to where we sit within the firm. Within Willis Towers Watson, we have a business segment called Corporate Risk and Broking, and within that there's a variety of global lines of business. Rebecca and I sit in one of those called Global Financial Solutions, and we are brokers focusing on credit and political risk insurance products, but that's fundamentally where we sit. And during the pandemic, we moved from being in an office environment to working from home, and it was a big change for all of us. And as we were adjusting to that, naturally some colleagues within our division were having conversations. There was a variety of topics that were, coming up, how people were coping, working from home. Obviously the killing of George Floyd and just the pandemic more generally was bringing about these more challenging discussions. And we just thought as a division, is there something that we can be doing in addition to all of the amazing things that are going on in our firm that we can focus on and try and promote ourselves? And some other global lines of business within the firm already had their own inclusion and diversity committees. So we felt it was time for us to formalise work that was going on in our world into a new committee. So we created the Global Financial Solutions Inclusion and Diversity Group, and there's a group of us that are currently working on this. So as we created this group, we thought we need to have some kind of strategy and we need to have some focus areas. So we came up with our 4, as we like to call them, priority pillars, umbrellas, whatever you wish to call them, some focus areas for all of us. And really that was so that we could look back at the end of the year and hold ourselves accountable to having some things that we actually wanted to achieve. And to caveat, this is very much a journey for us. Inclusion and diversity is constantly evolving. It's not something that you can just, tick a box and you've done it. It really is something that you need to continually strive towards and make sure that you're constantly evolving accordingly. So we're not there yet. We're definitely on our way and we're trying. But it's a real learning process for all of us. So we came up with these four priority pillars, which are raising awareness, charitable support, talent development, and culture. And so Rebecca and I are just going to briefly talk through the four and what we're trying to do in this space, or what we have already done. So the first one is raising awareness, and as you all probably know, education is just such a huge part of this subject. So giving colleagues access to as many sources of information or sharing experiences as you can, I personally feel is invaluable. If there's anything that I've learned or am learning myself, a lot of the time it's not that people don't care, it's just that people have not been exposed or are aware of things that are going on. So it's really important that we help shine a light on things for people. We have made some achievements this year, which I'm really proud of. I know Rebecca is as well, and our other colleagues in our group. So we have two fabulous colleagues working on the raising awareness pillar, and they have completed a couple of things, one of which is they set up some allyship training for our global financial solutions leaders within the division. And that kind of consisted on someone coming in to deliver some training and challenging leaders on biases that they may have and not being aware of, and all of that kind of stuff to help them be better allies. So that was really successful. We then also have some compulsory training that happens when you join our division. And we are now hopefully adding an inclusion and diversity section into that, so that every new joiner will understand what we're trying to do, and the 5 global networks within Willis Towers Watson more broadly, and also obviously the strategic pillars in our world as well. And the other thing that we've done is, and continuing to do, is trying to get external speakers to come in and talk to our division about their experiences or what they're trying to achieve. So we had the ACIN in a couple of months ago, that's the Afro-Caribbean Insurance Network, who shared what they're trying to do. And that was a really successful event. And we're also working with the existing networks in the firm to just come in as well, and make sure that we keep telling colleagues, you know, where they are and how they can join them if they'd like. Then next up, we have our charitable support pillar, which is where, of course, we're looking for ways that we can help support charities and give back. And what's really key here is that this is not just from a financial perspective for us. So it's thinking about how we can help with our time and our skill sets, and share some things that we may be doing to help others. So we've thought about exploring some fundraising challenges. Our industry is very social, so we thought it would be a really good way to connect people and strive towards, a goal to be able to help some charities. I think someone once suggested a step count challenge, so watch out, you may be seeing us hiking ridiculous amounts or something like that in the future. Another thing that we have is Willis Towers Watson give us a WTW day each year, which we can use to go and do some volunteering. So our group have been exploring how we may be able to put some structure around that for our division, and think about creating some experiences for people to go to. Another thing is many of our colleagues undertake the most incredible sporting feats that I would never dare challenge myself to. So, ultra marathons and things like that. And we're really keen that we circulate their fundraising pages and encourage our division to get involved in supporting them. Another important feature of doing this is that Willis Towers Watson have a matching donation scheme. So the more colleagues that donate, the better. So we're really keen on doing that. And then finally, speaking at events is something that we're really keen to continue to do. So thank you very much for letting us do that today. And also just putting ourselves out there where we may be able to help contacts that charities may have. So we've been speaking to a young man that we've met through a charity and helping him consider how he can get into the industry, whether that's helping with some networking skills or looking at a CV. Really that kind of mentoring piece is something else that we're very keen to do. And Rebecca is now going to talk about our final 2 pillars.
So our third pillar we have here is the talent development pillar. So this looks at how we can develop and create a diverse pool of talent within financial solutions. So recently we have been looking at our hiring practices and interview strategy, just to ensure that we have a consistent approach when interviewing candidates. We're also looking to offer work experience and internship opportunities for people coming through non-traditional insurance hiring pathways, sorry. And we've actually got Marcella speaking next, so I won't ruin her story, but there is a link there with her. And then also, as part of this talent development pillar, we think it's important to share resources internally with our colleagues, especially around the performance review process, because our intranet is a maze. We have so much information on there, so it's just directing colleagues to information at the relevant time. And then our final pillar is the culture pillar. So here we obviously want to promote inclusion and diversity within financial solutions, and we want to create a community where colleagues are well respected and enjoy coming to work and working as part of financial solutions. So as part of this, we have team socials. So we got together for the first time in 18 months a couple of weeks ago. So it was so nice to see everyone in person again and catch up and, you know, just connect with colleagues again. Amelia and I have also participated in a team escape room, which was really fun recently. So it's about those team building activities. And then as part of this as well, we also encourage the department to conduct surveys. So one we've done recently is about our working preferences, so that the senior leaders are aware of how people are doing working from home, what is their preference returning to the office, and do they feel comfortable returning in the current environment. So yeah, that's an overview of our 4 pillars. It's busy, and Amelia and I are really passionate. It's something we really enjoy working as part of. So thank you very much for listening to what we are up to and what we're trying to do. And Lee, I'll hand back to you.
Oh, thank you. I was really engrossed in that there. I just want to say thank you so much for that, because unless you hear exactly what each organisation and what company what they're doing for diversity and inclusion, you can just be, you know, blinded by what's going on. And I think when you said, Amelia, that education piece is just vital, isn't it? Because some people might not have come across anything at all. So it's just that education piece. It's that making people aware, that raising that awareness. And I think that's why we're doing this today, because we just wanted to, you know, ultimately raise an awareness about it, but also showcase, you know, fantastic organisations like Willis Towers Watson, who are doing and striving, like you said, you're not there yet, but what you're doing is you're making these steps. And I think that's key. And as long as, you know, we keep trying to make steps and move forward with this, then ultimately, hopefully, we're going to make that journey, you know, a little bit smoother for everyone. And like we said, you know, RFEA are there to kind of help, you know, work with you guys. And I honestly, I wrote down the word reassuring, because it's so reassuring to see what you guys are doing. So then we can reassure our clients and individuals that, you know, we actually know that there is work going on, especially with you guys. So, and that's how we work, isn't it? We know what's going on within your organisation. You work with us as a charity. So it's just fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Rebecca, I know you mentioned about Marcella, which is what I'm going to go on to next, because I think the 2 pieces go hand in hand, and this is a real sort of real raw story about Marcella and her situation she found herself in, and how we worked together as, you know, part of RFEA and you guys at Willis Towers Watson. So I'm going to pass over to Marcella. I'm not going to take too much of your time. And Marcella, if you could just give us a bit of background and a rundown of your story and what, how you've evolved, that would be fantastic.
Hi, Lee. Thank you. Well, my name is Marcela Lopez. I am from Colombia. I moved to live here in the UK in 2017. And at that moment, I got in touch with a recruiter who helped me to get my first job at Regents, that is a builder's merchant, as a credit risk supervisor. Then in 2019, the company was sold and I got redundant. And then, as a part of my professional goals, I want to get my certification as a fraud examiner. So I used the rest of the year to get prepared for my exam. And I thought, well, 2020 is going to be my year and I'm going to get my second job. But then the pandemic came and it was awful. It was really challenging. Yeah, I feel really hard to get a job, to get connected. And then one day my husband, that is an ex-army person, he told me to get in touch with your charity, with the RFEA, yeah, and that you might help me to achieve my goals. And this is how I met Joanne McLeon, who gave me all the support. So the first thing that we did is she reviewed my CV and she stated what were my mistakes, because the first thing that we need to do is to beat the machine, that the machine select our CV for the interview. So she found problems with the font, with the style, and that for that reason it couldn't get picked up. So, and the second is that I needed to improve my interviews. So we did some training with her. Yeah, she helped me. She told me, well, it might be better if you improve this type of answer. You need to speak more about your goals, your achievements. And the third one, and the most important, is that I told her I really want to get connected to the insurance sector or to the financial sector. And I found that challenging because despite that I follow everything that Joanne suggested, I couldn't get selected for an interview. So Joanne became my coach in this path. And basically, she gave me some tools. The first one is she suggested a website that I can go through with the job spec and find the keywords that I have to put in my CV. So use my skills and combine it with those words and put it in that CV and put it in a way that is going to be selected by the machine. Yeah. And the second one, and I think that one is the most important, is that she got me in touch. She put me in touch with the people from Willis Towers Watson. And I got an initial meeting and then I got an interview. And it was fantastic because finally, after all that year of struggling and feeling depressed and sometimes feel it hard to achieve my goals, Joan helped me to go through that path. And I'm going to start my internship in November. Yes. So I think everything has been successful and has been great with her. And how I overcome my barriers, it's I follow with Joanne all the steps that she suggested, because she knows how to do the things to help you to go throughout that path and achieve your goals. And I think that was important. And also because she always helped me to improve myself. And I always heard everything that she said and try to put it in practice. That is important. And words of advice, yeah, I will say the most important is you need to know what you want to do in life. Yeah. The second is that you always need help because someone knows better how to achieve the goals than you. And that person, in this case is you and your charity, RFEA, you know really well how to achieve all the people to get throughout that path and achieve their goals. And the third one I will say is that to do something that not to do something that you are capable of, is to do something that you feel passionate, that you really love to do it, that you want to get up in the morning, go to work. It doesn't matter how many issues you can find there or struggle. It's just feel that passion to learn, to improve yourself, and to keep growing. I think that is my experience.
Thank you. Marcella, that's amazing hearing that, because I know that you've been on such a journey, and I think ultimately we do as much as we can as advisors, and Joanna's fantastic. And we all really strive for the individual and the client, and we wouldn't be doing this job if we didn't care. But I think ultimately you took the tools, you took the advice and guidance, and you ran with that. And I think that's really important that you pushed your journey as well. So I think we need to obviously give massive kudos to you as well for what you've done and you've achieved. You've done a fantastic job, Marcella, and now you're within, as we can see, a fantastic organisation who are really going to, help you and support you. So, it's great to hear your story, and thank you for sharing with us today. I think this was key in terms of what we're trying to sort of achieve and how we work with these organisations to include everyone and make sure everybody's got fairness.
Thank you. I think I need to be honest, is the way that I could achieve this, it was thanks to your charity, thanks to the RFEA, because it was you who put me in touch with the insurance sector, with Emilia, with Cynthia, with, well, a marvelous team that is supporting me throughout this path. And now I can do it. I never worked before in the insurance sector, but I wanted to do it because I know that I have the skills and experience that I can do great things. And it's just giving me the opportunity to achieve my goal. But it's thanks also for your support, because you have resources that we as an individual, we don't have it.
Okay, and that's key as well. That's what we we hopefully give you the tools and in the advice and guidance and the like sort of the openings that we can do as advisors to allow you to kind of go on and move on. And like you said, it's feeling that when you're looking for something that you're passionate about, but also something out with your comfort zone. So it's something you can achieve, but you're just pushing yourself out that little way out, and you've done amazing, Marcella. So well done you, and I can't wait to hear all about it. I'm really hoping that we'll get filtered back how you're getting on, and I know you'll have a fantastic support with the girls at Willis Towers Watson. So yeah, well done.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your story. We at RFEA really appreciate it, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Perfect. So as you can see, there's the link. Willis Towers Watson is doing amazing things and striving, to push their diversity and inclusion piece. But ultimately here at RFEA, this was how we could link the two together, and and really give them the tools and the confidence to go on. And as you can see, a real success there for Marcella and Joanne, who is one of our advisors. A fantastic job. So yeah, that's what we strive for. Like we said, we're not here to be we're not the experts in this, but what we do is we help to solution with other outside organisations, and we make sure that all the other employability skills and all the the journey is solidified, and we can do that, whereas we can get the other outside organisations who really have these key skills and packages and networks to be able to push on. So yeah, it's really key there, and I think that was really great to hear Marcella's story along with Willis Towers Watson. So thank you again, guys. I've just got a few facts actually, just a couple of facts that I wanted to discuss. Because we don't want it to be all we want to really highlight the positives. And we when I did a bit of research on this, we all did a bit of research on the background, and 46% of mothers that have been made redundant during the pandemic, it was down to lack of adequate childcare. Now, I want to really point out that during the pandemic was a really tough time for everyone. Now that we are starting to see that, dare I say it, a bit of normality, we are hoping now the fact that flexible working is a real positive now within big organisations, part-time opportunities, job sharing, all of this is is really starting to creep back in, and there is more opportunities on the horizons that hopefully we will see that percentage drop. And the fact that they'll be able to flexible work and have that, that job share part-time, we will start to see that drop in childcare, not be as big a barrier as such, but it continues to be there. But as you can hear, Willis Towers Watson as well are doing fantastic things in terms of, trying to get that flexible working options and, really, emphasising on the childcare's barriers and things like that. So, and again, it's something that we can help with when we're looking at jobs that you're looking for and what kind of hours and employability and your job searching. These are all things that we can definitely help you with within the RFEA. The next one I had was that the unemployment rate for the minority ethnic background had increased. But again, this was for the same period before within the pandemic. So what we would like to see is that now that there's more opportunities in terms of employment, and we have these fantastic programs within the RFEA that can help you with your employment search, hopefully we can look to decrease that percentage again, and hopefully we'll be looking at different percentages next year. And the very last one, again, just to end, we are making, the world is making huge improvements towards gender equality. And in the past 50 years, we're not quite at the equality yet, versus men and women, but the gap is reducing, and that's a positive in itself. And hopefully, as we continue on, the gap will then close down. And they're saying at least another century, but like I say, when you've got fantastic organisations that are really working and striving towards the diversity and inclusion piece and making that a real, focus of their organisation, then hopefully we'll start to see that gap shrinking a bit more. Just wanted to ask if there was any questions after the Marcella and Willis Towers Watson piece. Again, it was just, I thought I'd bring in a few questions if anybody had any questions. We have a congratulations to Marcella on her internship and moving forward into her new career. No, that's fantastic. And I think we all applaud that. I think that's brilliant. And I think, it just shows the work that we can do in terms of, marrying these organisations up. And she's done a fantastic job. So yeah, well done. I can't wait to hear all about it when you start. Perfect. Okay, so what we'll do is, now that I've done the facts and we've done the Marcella piece, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on to another. We've got a fantastic video from Janice. I'm not going to steal her limelight. I'm going to let Janice explain all about her experiences, and I think it's key. Janice works within Veterans into Logistics, and she helps with the employment piece as well. So we've got that link again. So I'll pass on to Janice, who will now explain her story.
My name's Janice Gurney. I've served 25 years in the Royal Navy, and I came out of the Royal Navy in 2012. I've had various jobs and bits and pieces, and 2 years ago I kind of lost my way. I reached out to the RFEA and spoke to a lady whose name was Denise Cummins, and she looked at what all my background I had and what skill sets I had. She put me in touch with another guy who was running his driver training company at the time, and asked him what I thought about driving a lorry. And I never thought about that. So last year he asked me, he had a plan to help veterans, and he asked me would I like to come on board with him. So I've come on board as one of the other directors, and we formed Veterans into Logistics. So what do? Basically, we get veterans who are unemployed, or veterans with convictions, homeless veterans, and family members of veterans, and we train them up into gaining new skills within the heavy goods vehicle industry. And we start from the very beginning all the way through to the end and beyond into work. My advice for people leaving the service: look at RFEA. They're not widely publicised when you go to do resettlement, but they are out there to help you. It is absolutely free to sign up, and it doesn't cost anything. It's just a couple of clicks and you sign up. They are fantastic people, and they are human. They've been there and done it. They've got a wide of experience. They know where to tap into people, who to speak to, and to help. And they don't bite, and they're a very friendly bunch. So that's my advice I would give to service leavers. If you've already left the service and you have lost your way, or you're not sure what to do, get in touch with them. I got in touch with mine, and it opened so many doors for me. It unlocked so many skills that I didn't know that I had, especially transferable skills. Hence now I help run a company. The other thing as well is don't give up hope. If you feel that you're alone or whatever, pick up the phone or Google them. They are on the internet. Put in RFEA and they come up. And it's also part of Right Job as well. And they've got a job set bit there to help. They have got a women's section dedicated just for female ex-service personnel and service leavers. and they're really worth talking to them. Annette, she's absolutely fabulous, who runs that section. And like I say, the person that I work with, Dee, she's really great. And since that, I've worked with RFEA all the time, and the amount of people they help is unbelievable. So don't lose faith, don't give up. There's stuff out there, and if you've had a bit of a rough journey, take it from me. I've had a rough journey. I know what it's like, and there's people out there that know what it's like as well.
Oh, that was brilliant. Thank you, Janice. And as you can see, that it was mentioned that we work with veterans into logistics now as well, helping other individuals and clients get into that industry. And Dee was influential in supporting that. And she mentioned the Military Women's programme as well, which we have the fabulous Annette, who does head up as an advisor. So if anybody is in doubt, please do register, and we can help you on that journey. And we know organisations that can support that as well. So that was great. Thank you so much for your input, Janice. I know it's highly valued, and we really appreciate it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pass over to, we have the lovely Anne, who is available now, and I'm going to ask Anne. Hi. Oh, I can see you now. I'm actually going to pass over to Anne, who's going to give her story, and I'm going to go through. Do you want me to go to the next slide, Anne?
Yes, please.
So if you just give me the prompts, I'll happily do your next slide, please. Thanks for joining us, Anne. We really do appreciate it. Okay.
You're more than welcome.
There we go.
Yeah, my story starts, I joined the Wrens when I was 18, back in 1987, after speaking to my granddad, who was in the Merchant Navy in the Second World War. He spoke about the opportunities that he'd had and the travel that he'd done, and I thought I'd like a piece of that. So I got to work with the Royal Marines, got to go on board ship, and I played lots of different sports as well. But I also noticed it's quite weird joining an all-female organisation. That's the first time I noticed gender difference. Women were treated slightly differently to men at the time. But thankfully, things have progressed over the years. And when the two services joined together, we've got a lot more parity there. So next slide, please. I've had a long career in the education branch, and it culminated in working for Armed Forces Diversity Engagement Group. And I got to work with a lot of the networks in the organisation, but also outreach to different places as well. And that was brilliant because it taught me all about inclusion in general, not just my own characteristics, but also about visible and invisible inclusion. And I've now got a passion for that in everything that I do. Next slide, please. One of my other passions is supporting the ladies that have gone before me in the Association of Wrens, mainly, but the other two services as well. And my mantra is, if those who'd gone before me had not done what they did, I would not get the opportunities to do what I've done, and those following me wouldn't get the opportunities yet to be afforded to them. So I'm a huge advocate for everything that they do. Next slide, please. Another piece of my advocacy is to do with another part of my identity. For the first 16 years of my career, up until the year 2000, there was a ban on people that were LGB serving in the armed forces. That ban was lifted. And since then, people like me who previously had to suppress their feelings have had the opportunity to take part in lots of different things. I've been involved in lots of national campaigns because I'm quite, as I've already said, passionate about in the inclusion space. But one thing that I was most proud of, next slide, please, was the time that I proposed to my wife in full number 1 uniform on the stage at Liverpool Pride. And we got married in Liverpool as well. And it was such an amazing occasion, but something that I never thought I would get the opportunity to do. So the Armed Forces has moved on massively there, which is brilliant. Next slide. That then comes the sort of like dip in my career, I suppose. When the pandemic kicked in, I was just coming to the end of the Armed Forces Diversity career job. I'd got a contract working for another organisation, but when the pandemic kicked in, I lost that contract. And that sent me on a little bit of a spiral of job applications. And then other things were happening. You know, my partner got furloughed. We were in the process of relocating because the armed forces job came with housing as well. So lots and lots of things going on in my life, and having to find a job at the same time. And we were also in the process of adoption with Safa. Next slide, please. So this is my beautiful daughter now. And I suppose the pandemic did us a favor, really, because my wife was furloughed, I was unemployed, our daughter came home, and we got some time together to bond, which was brilliant. Next slide, please. What did I do, though, for support? Initially, I reached out to family and friends and to local employment networks. And I think as service personnel, we're just not really good at asking for help. So I tried all my friendly forces, so to speak, first. Then I reached out to LinkedIn and just got down so many rabbit holes, it was unreal. And then I decided to reach out to the RFEA. And I suppose for me, that was a little bit of a turning point, because I'd had so many rejections at that point. Annette kindly gave me some advice on how to reword my CV and some of the other online forms that you have to fill in to attract employers' attentions and also to articulate what my skills were. So next slide, please. So that gave me the confidence to go on and reach out to other people and do things. But my current situation is I'm working for the Commodore Maritime Reserves, who is a female at the moment. So that's brilliant, working for a woman-headed organisation in their transformation team. I'm physically based in Liverpool, so the pandemic has done me a favour there as well. I get time at home rather than having to travel to Portsmouth all the time. And I support a charity called Diversity Role Models, which go into schools and create empathy and inclusion. I support the Association of RENs, and all of this has just given me time to do things that I think are important as well. And I've also just volunteered for the role as inclusion officer at the Royal Navy Football Association, because I did a long career in football. Next slide, please. My words of wisdom, I suppose, to anybody watching are that you have to remain open-minded. You have to network as much as you can through using whatever medium you can to get to the place that you want to be. Family and interests have come more to the forefront. My career has taken not a back step, but I actually have more of a work-life balance now that I had before. The job I'm doing isn't my ideal job, but I had to choose between passion and practicality to make sure that I was supporting my family and just being brave, because I think we forget how resilient we are. But taking those steps to reach out to people to help. I'm glad I did that with the RFEA, because I think, as I said, that was a turning point. I was going on a bit of a downward spiral of rejection after rejection. And, you know, you really helped me get to where I am at the moment. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Anne. No, that's fantastic. I'll just double check that's it. Definitely finished. But yeah, I love the words of wisdom at the end, because we're always advocating that, that be brave and feel the fear and do it anyway. We always kind of say, you'll never get, sometimes you just got to step outside that comfort zone. And seeing your journey and saying that, joining the RFEA at that point was a turning point. Sometimes it's just having that someone in your corner, isn't it, Anne, and having, that support and that, guidance, and just sometimes that reassurance to know that you're doing something right, or is there something that I could be doing that's maybe going to take me on a different direction.
Yeah, I think the reassurance piece was really good. Because I'm quite a resilient person anyway, having sort of been what I've been through in the past. But I think when you're left alone, and the situation obviously with the pandemic was unpredictable, so everybody was feeling pretty much alone. But just having that reassurance and then a little bit of direction really helped me.
Yeah, and that transition piece does take a little while, doesn't it? It's not just that, they're just coming out. It's the, out of the into civil world and all of that sort of stuff. It's just, you kind of, it goes on and finding that employment and something that's suitable. And like you said, that practicality and things like that. So yeah, it's really good to see your story, and congratulations on your wedding and your child. And it's just so lovely to see. Honestly, you look radiant.
Thank you.
That's
I've
not
actually got nursery bugs at the moment, so not quite radiant.
Makeup's got a lot to answer for. I slap it on in the mornings, Anne. Listen, Anne, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it and sharing your story again. It's just, see that piece of, how RFEA can help, but also, the things that you've done yourself to overcome any barriers that you've come across. So yeah, no, great to see. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
No problem at all. I think what we'll do now is we'll move on to Veritys' story. Now, Verity was a client of the Families Programme who joined us a few months back as a qualified, just to give you a bit of a background, because we've got a lovely video from Verity. So what I'm going to do is just give you a bit of an intro. Verity was a qualified physio and counsellor and came to us with, she had a balance disability and was also deaf. She has built up her own, what we say, support toolbox, which was fantastic, and has really developed and utilised her own skills to kind of further her career. But with the pandemic, Verity found that she was left unable to sort of, in her words, lip read, and because of the mask situation and being deaf. So she wanted to reach out to the RFEA to get help to kind of support and navigate her with any new positions that might help with that. So she was supported by Tanya, who's fantastic within the Families team. And Tanya really helped her with her determination and attitude and helped her with her employability skills. Verity was very determined herself anyway, and has overcome a lot of barriers and achieved a lot in terms of her what she's done in her career and also in her personal life. Verity's video is she would like to give a bit of advice and guidance about what she would advise doing and how we've helped with her journey. So here's Verity's video. Enjoy.
So advice that I would pass on would probably fit into maybe 3 areas. So first, maybe if there's people who feel just different, or maybe they've not had a diagnosis, maybe they've always felt a bit different since school days, or maybe you have a diagnosis but you think other people are worse off than you and they deserve the attention from RFEA or other organisations rather than yourself. Ignore those thoughts, just contact the organisation, okay? Because people are waiting there, they're waiting to hear from you. If we don't contact the organisations and engage with them, and if they're not busy enough, they will get the funding pulled. Okay, that is what they're paid to do, and they want to support you. Okay, and if you've had a friend who was struggling with the same situation or thoughts that you were, you would be encouraging them to reach out for support. So why not reach out for the same support yourself? So the other thing that I'll probably say is, if you've ever reached out for support before and that you didn't follow it up, and then you're feeling bad because you didn't do anything, and then you're thinking, well, I can't contact them again because I didn't follow anything up. Follow it through, contact them again. We know about it in the health service that sometimes people just weren't in the right place at the time. That can be part of your reflection. I've certainly been there before where I haven't followed things through. I just wasn't in the right place at the time. Don't lose out on things in your life just because you don't feel able to pick it up again. Okay, they are there waiting for you, and that part of the life journey. Okay, and the last thing I'll probably say is, it's not necessarily going to be all smooth sailing, but just think about what your support network is, whether it is friends, family, the organisations around you, and thinking about what serves you, what helps you in the process. So like you will have seen in my story, it's not all been smooth sailing, and part of my toolbox has been learning how to manage when it isn't all smooth sailing. And the way I talk to myself during those times, and believing in myself, in the strengths and skills that I do have, and it's learning to build up, that side of you and that resilience, to help you on this journey, and believing that you can do it.
Oh, that was brilliant. Yeah, that was Verity, and like I say, Verity is a massive, the things that she's achieved is unbelievable, and she's real passionate about reaching out for that support, and almost not, don't try and do it all yourself. And like Verity said, if you're not in that right headspace at that moment, just remember that we are always here to support. And like I said, we can support and advocate where to go for the correct information and support if you do feel that diversity and inclusion is a barrier. But things are happening, employers are making changes, and as you can see from our previous presentation, making strides for equality and fairness. So I think it's been great to hear everybody's stories and hear everybody's passion. Anne was very passionate about what she does, and it was just great to see that she still, flies that flag and really is pushing forward to make changes, which is just great. So yeah, if we've got any questions, I'm not sure if we've got any questions. Put up a slide just there for question and answers. But again, just some client quotes that we've heard in the past, again, about, what RFEA have done, being that military wife, having the childcare barriers, maybe not thinking that they can push themselves outside their comfort zone. We look to kind of, support and guide, and we're not the experts, but we can help with that journey. So, yeah, if they've got any questions. Perfect. Okay. So I know the lovely Annette has been monitoring. So thank you, Annette. She's very good at that moderating. So thank you very much. And the wider RFEA team, because this is a team effort. Okay. This, everybody, we all put in, and we all, really, really do feel passionate about these events, and passionate about this, we're passionate about our organisation, but we're also passionate about this topic. And I think it was key just to raise that awareness, and it's something that is at the forefront, and especially working in the employment sector and working with people who are on their employment journey. It's key that everybody has that tailored individual needs, and that support when provided. So yeah, so I would just like to thank everyone who has taken part today, because from the bottom of my heart and everyone else's, I think sharing that story, like what Anne said, be brave, it's really, really refreshing to hear, and also to hear how we've worked with outside organisations to allow for opportunities to happen, which is just fantastic. So what I will do is I will thank everyone, and if you would like to register, we will have the website up at the end. All of our programmes are on the one website, www.rfea.org.uk, and just like that it appears. So yeah, if anybody would like to register for the families programme, for the spouses and partners, or for the other ex-forces veterans programme and the military women programme, please take a look at our website. Everything is on there. All the registration forms are really quite straightforward, and if you've got any questions, please do reach out. Thank you so much to everyone again. Really do appreciate it. And we will hope to see you soon on our next one. Thank you.